Welcome to the Scully Sez podcast, talking all things law, business, and more. Now here's your host, Tom Scully.
Okay, so this is Tom Scully, and this is Scully Sez podcast. I'm here with Patrick, and what we want you to do is not only listen, but give us a thumbs up and show that you're following us, and do whatever you can, and run out and hand out flyers and leaflets and
knock doors.
Knock on your doors.
If you could cold call, that would be pretty cool.
Yes, that's right. We don't expect you to spend the entire night phoning people, but put in an hour or two. That would be very well appreciated. But
the least you could do, really.
Yes. So anyway, usually we talk about things. In fact, next week you may not be here, sir, but you can. I don't know if we can have two people on as guests. I don't know if we know how to do that. But here's the reason. We have a gentleman from IU who's going to talk about tariffs. It would be very helpful if you were here too, because this gentleman is of the Indian persuasion. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so there might be sometimes we might have a little problem with the accent. Because I had a lady who used to work for me. She was probably the smartest person we had. It was Veda.
I remember her.
Yeah, but Veda had an accent, and so it was difficult for some of the clients to understand her. But very, very smart. Very smart. Anyway. So today we're going to be talking about Cat in the Cradle. Cat in the Cradle that's the one that a lot of people are under the impression that that's Cat Stevens, but actually it was Harry Chapin that wrote the song. And do you know anything about Harry Chapin, sir?
I know a little bit about him. That song, especially, that's a classic in our family. And I definitely thought it was Cat Stevens too, but it makes sense that it's a Chapin song. After you say it, you're like, oh, okay, I totally see how that is. But I guess I always was under the impression that that was like a cardinal sin, like releasing covers. But for most music history, that was totally normal to have multiple people release a song.
Yes, and I think it was a little bit later, but I think that basically Cat Stevens probably had a better promoter, and so his was the better known, and that's why it was most people associated it with Cat Stevens,
right?
But yeah,
that's kind of crazy. The marketing of it shapes the history of the music.
Yes, yes, and there is in our research, sir, of course, I didn't have to do much research, but there is a great what would you say, a tribute to Harry Chapin by a rabbi. His name is Rabbi Rob Dobrusin, Dobrusin, and he talked about when Harry Chapin died. He was just a kid, and of course Harry Chapin has been dead now for 40 years. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, 1981 is when he passed away, so actually probably a little bit longer than that even.
Yeah.
Not probably, definitely.
Yeah, and so so Cat in the Cradle, I guess talk about that a little bit. It's a story. It's kind of a very familiar story. And as old as the song is, it's very, very current, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It has to do with the regrets that a father has. And what has happened is the father is trying to make a living, and he seems to be caught up in that, which is a modern day thing. And he's traveling all over the place, and he keeps on telling his son that he's going to go out and play sports with him. He's going to do this and going to do that, but you got to wait until he gets home. And of course, he never gets home. And when he does finally get home, he becomes his son goes off to college, and the son no longer really needs to be around him any longer. And then the father retires, and now he's an old man, and he's phoning up his son, and his son doesn't have time for him, not because he's being mean or anything, but because he's caught up in taking care of his kids and going about his business, and he's got kids in school, and he's got family obligations, and so that's what ends up. He he hangs the phone up, and the last line, of course, is his son had turned out to be just like him.
Yeah, it's that song. I always like thought that song was just so interesting. I think it's like just sonically a really really good song. But like beyond that, like it and Old Man by Neil Young. They both kind of have like a similar vibe to them, you know.
Uh-huh.
And I think it's cool because they, like you said, it is something that was written in a time, you know, very distant from now, and it's like equally as applicable, if not more applicable, as time has gone on. You know, that it, you know, it's kind of just like the time is the kind of. I think like the theme of them is basically that the time is the valuable thing. You know, like everything that you were doing when you were, you know, building a life and everything was important, but the time is what you can't get back and what you want once you're older and you have everything. You know, it's like that's kind of like what it is they're retroactively looking at their life and they're like, oh, I wish I would have been able to spend more time. I wish I would have been able to do this. And I think it's interesting because it is a more it's just an ever more pertinent thing, you know, like people are having to spend more time working, and more time working means less time with their family, and you know that cycle just continues and continues and continues. It's cool how relevant those older songs are.
Well, of course, that's almost like Jim Croce talks about putting time in a bottle. That was his song. Do you remember
Yeah,
that? Mm-hmm.
yeah.
But I think that it ends up actually you end up with the idea that the house, the cars, the job, and so on, all those things really take second place to relationships. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, like, you know, climbing the ladder seems like the thing that you have to do to provide, and then you get up there and that, you know, that time is gone. It takes so long to climb that ladder that the time is gone. Then you want to, you know, spend the spoils of your life basically with those people, and now they're going on their own wheel building their own life, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it is really cool. I mean, that's what's so awesome about that era of music is these guys had these really profound thoughts, and they're like my age, you know, and they're having these really really profound thoughts and able to like have commercial success with them too, you know.
Yeah, well, I don't think Harry had as much success as a lot of these other songs that basically have absolutely very little, if any, meaning to them. But what he did was told a story, which is not that it's not that easy to do. And of course, all of his songs tell a story, and they're poignant, uh, most for the most part. But I'm going to move on to a second one, which is a little bit less poignant. And I don't know if you got this one. Did you get 30,000 pounds of bananas? Did you get that one, sir?
No.
Oh, sir. Well, this was rather a sad song in some respects, but there was this young fellow. He had evidently just got himself a job as as a truck driver, and so he this was his second. This was his second time out, and he had 30,000 pounds of bananas in the truck. And so he's going along, and he gets to a hill, and as he's going down the hill, he presses on the air brake or whatever. For whatever reason, I think he forgot to engage it, but for whatever reason, he's going down this hill. You're saying he can't stop, and he's got 30,000 pounds of bananas. Well, it ends up that I don't know if he survived it, but it ended up that there were 30,000 pounds of bananas spread along the streets of Ohio. I think it's Akron,
Oh
Ohio.
wow.
Yeah. So Akron, Ohio, not too far away, and so it was it was actually a news story. You could actually look that up. Uh,
Oh, okay. See, that's what I was wondering. I was like, is this just totally like, like he made it up, or it's a real thing that happened?
Yeah, it's actually a real thing that happened, and then, but and the forest. So he tells a little story, and then he has these folks. I think his brother and a couple other people. I think there was also like a famous choir behind him, and so the refrain was 30,000 pounds of bananas. So the bananas were all over the place. It was. And so that's 30. So it's just a little bit different,
I did
So
confirm. I did go and look at that news story. That did happen. It was in Scranton, Pennsylvania, the
oh, it
setting
was in
of The
Scranton.
Office.
Oh, okay. I thought it was Akron, but it ended up in Scranton, huh?
Yeah, it was in Scranton, Pennsylvania, which is where TV's The Office took
That's
place.
right. That's right. Yes. Well, that's
I wonder if it's. I'm sure that has to be referenced in the show somewhere. Even that's a crazy. I bet you. See that's what I was discovering when I was listening to his music was a lot of this stuff. I knew what it was, but I had no idea what the name of it was. And some of it I had no idea what the context of it was. I just like knew the words to this song. And then when you actually listen to it, like Cat in the Cradle, when you actually listen to Cat in the Cradle the whole way through, you're like, oh wow, there's a lot of depth to it. But it's not. It's easy to just Man on the Moon, Little Boy Blue, just like remember those things and
oh
sing
yeah.
them when you hear it. But it's actually a really poignant song. But yeah, I didn't know. I did not. I don't think I ever have. That's something I would remember if I ever saw that cross my phone. I don't think I came across that one. So now I have
Well,
to.
well, now let me ask you this. Maybe this is another stumper. How about I want to learn a love song? Would
No.
you? No. Oh, sir, please. See what happened is, it seems almost autobiographical. I don't know if it is or not, but Harry was, or whoever this individual was, he was able to. I guess he was teaching this woman who was, I guess, quite a bit older than he was, 30 or 40 years older, but a good-looking woman anyway, good-looking woman, and he was tutoring her. Do you see? And he was teaching her how to sing this song, and she keeps on telling him that she wants him to play this love song for him, and he goes back and forth, and this one time, of course, it ends up, which I suppose they're doing a little bit more than singing, don't you see?
Right.
Yes, and as he's doing that, uh, evidently she's pretty well off, and her husband is downstairs with the boys. He's playing cards with the boys, you see, and he has more interesting things to do than talk to his wife. You see, and that's really what this whole story is about. She's kind of lonely, and
Right. He's neglecting her.
yes, and so this young kid who she puts the move on, of course, she's looking for love in all the wrong places, but nonetheless, I guess he comes he mans up. He mans up and he's up to the task, I take it. And so, but that's the story. And so the story was, that it's important to keep your relationships going.
Absolutely.
So
Well,
that's a
and you have to put the effort in, right? Again, he had a lot of answers.
oh yeah, that was a good one. If you have a chance to listen to it, I want to learn a love song. That she keeps on saying that to him. You see, he's out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's a young boy, and she keeps on saying, "I want you to teach me a love song." And so yeah, that's how that goes. Well, we got there.
I do know one very famous one that I know you know as well. It's a standard. Another family classic is WOLD.
Oh yes, oh yeah,
That's a
WOLD.
fantastic one.
Yeah, well, the thing about WOLD, A lot of his songs, of course, Harry was Irish. He was Irish, and so
Right.
there's a little bit of melancholy in a lot of his songs. And this one, well, what did you think about it?
Well, I think that it does have a melancholy vibe, but like all of his songs, that even though they do, they're generally like good feeling songs, like a song you hear at a bar or a song that you hear in the car and you'd sing along to. That's not like super slow. Well, maybe some stuff, but for the most part, not super slow mood music, if you will. But like he made I don't know. I just think he did a really good job taking like actual stories and like turning them into songs that the story mattered, but the story, like the song was like outlived the story to a degree. Like people hear it as just the song that it is now instead of hearing the story, which is maybe not his objective, but it's just so it's like a really huge talent to be able to craft a song that well that it kind of like dissolves away from even being words, and it's just like something that like you hear it in a background of a movie, you hear it coming out of a car or something like that, and it's just like part of the like culture so ingrained.
Well, yeah, it kind of course, WOLD, and of course it's OLD, old.
Right.
He's old, and he starts out. He's DJ, and it's not. People probably do not relate to it as much today, but back when I was a kid, I listened to all the rock and roll songs, and they were played on AM radio, and the DJ on the radio, he was a big shot, particularly with all the kids and so on. And so it was the type of position that you had all these girls fawning over you and people running around trying to get your autograph and that type of thing. And evidently, he was relatively successful when he started out. And he was young, and he had been married and so on. And it's sort of like the cat in the cradle. He became successful, so successful, of course, that he kind of forgot his wife,
Yep.
forgot, and I think he had a couple kids. And so he goes off, and he's successful, but time goes by, and the AM starts to fade out, and then he gets into FM, and he does FM for a while, and then his voice starts changing because he's getting old and he's not as enthusiastic, and he's not like he used to be, and he's getting a pot belly, he's balding a little bit, he's looking a little bit rough around the edges. And then he goes into the second and third markets. I guess he's up a place like North Dakota, South Dakota. And at the end, he comes back to where he started out. But this time, I guess it's more of a subdued show. It's called The Morning Show. And by this time, he kind of figures out that the things that he didn't think were important are really important. And so he calls up his wife, his ex-wife. And he says, things of, I didn't do a lot of things I should have done, but maybe we could get back together. And we open up that old record store that I was talking about all these years. And it ends up, he says, she evidently tells him, no, she says, I've remarried. And he ends up saying, well, he's probably a better man than I am anyway, so you're lucky to have him. And so that's kind of, so he ends up with the realization that the things that he considered were important, he's lost them. He's not going to get them back. And so that's kind of my take on it. What did you think about it?
Yeah, and I think that that's like a common, that like you said, it's the same as Cats in the Cradle, and there's a lot of music is about, on the journey you might lose sight of what you're even doing the journey for. Like I think that probably even a good portion of like hip hop music is basically like, well, you work really hard to get to a point, and then you get to the point and you realize like I'm no better off than I was beforehand. You know what I mean? And that's again, it's just interesting that the same themes were important then, that are important now for them to like, for people, for musicians at least, or whatever, to get out to the public. Like Chapin was saying the same things that like a modern artist would be saying, and he was saying it 60 years ago.
Joe Walsh, remember Joe Walsh? I don't know if you remember Joe Walsh, but he talks about the fact that he has this famous Ferrari, he has this huge mansion, he has all kinds of money, as all, and he can't use any of it because he's constantly on. He says, "I've never seen my house, but I know I got a big one." He says, "I've got 10 cars, but I can never drive any of them. I've lost my license, and I was." So that's it, but it's kind of the same thing, It's
right.
The material things really don't mean that much. So that's
similar to the theme of what we were talking about last week, really. Same thing. Like how much does, or I believe that was last week, but like how much does that stuff really matter? How much importance should you put on it? I mean, there's a line between, like sometimes things are expensive because you like them. If you're a person who goes and is a fisherman or likes to be on the boat and you spend a lot of money on the boat and that's how you spend your time and that's how you like connect with your family, that's not really that bad. But if you're a guy who just has one to have one to say that you have one, you know what I mean?
Yep.
That's no good. That's not a good thing. It's the same thing about a Ferrari. If you're the kid who that was the icon that like, that was your carrot on your stick and you get it and you drive it and you're appreciative of it and all that, that's great. If you're the guy who's like ordering them, constantly as they come out, like they're commodities and stuff, you're probably, doing it for the wrong reasons.
And you remember when I said about Akron, Ohio? I got my cities mixed up. I got Scranton mixed up with Akron, which is easy to do, that. But yeah, yeah. I don't know who's going to be the most offended, Akron or Scranton. But
Scranton, I was going to say.
Yeah, I've been to Scranton, but then again, I've been to Akron, so I'm not going to say anything more about that one. But now the quiz goes on, sir. How about Mr. Tanner? Mr. Tanner?
I know that one.
You Mr. Tanner? And he was in Akron. And you know what Mr. Tanner did?
What's that?
He had a cleaning business. He had a little cleaner. And the guy evidently had just this wonderful voice. I guess it was a baritone. And he would sing all the time. He loved to sing. And he would sing in front, sometimes I once went to an Italian barber who used to always sing this operatic stuff. I mean, he just loved to sing. And this guy, Mr. Tanner, he loved to sing. And everybody in Akron that came to his store said, "You got such a great voice. I mean, you're wasting your time here. You're not supposed to be a cleaner. You're supposed to be a professional singer." And so he says, "Oh, no, I can't. No." But they keep on saying it to him over and over. And so finally he takes the plunge. He spells everything that he has, sells it all, gets himself in hock, and goes to Carnegie Hall. And he does the singing, and he sings a song and so on. And then the next day he's reading probably the New York Times or whatever, and he's reading the critics. And the critics say, well, he ought to find another profession because he's really not that sophisticated. He lacks a little bit. You see, he had a great voice, but evidently, they figured that he just didn't know the nuances. You see, so it was kind of a brutal put down,
right?
And so what happens is, Mr. Tanner goes back to his cleaners. And he never sings in front of anybody again. And at the end of the song, he stays at the cleaners late at night. And late at night, he sings to himself when nobody's there. And so, but I think really one of the lessons I got out of that one was you've got to be kind to people because sometimes criticisms can be crushing,
Yeah.
Just take the wind out of you, just crush you, just like a flower or something. You got this guy with a tremendous amount of talent, and perhaps you could have helped them or, give them a little bit of a break, but instead you're on this perch, and you're looking down at the guy, and you kind of crush his dreams, so I think that's the moral of the story. But it's
Right.
kind of yeah.
I absolutely agree. I mean, I think absolutely right. Like you can't, that I think that that people extending themselves. Actually, Aiden told me this. People being willing to create is meritorious enough for you to be like proud of them.
Yeah.
So if someone creates something, even if it sucks, you tell them the positive things, and maybe you say it's not to my taste, or as you keep working at it, that's going to get even better. I totally see the vision. Like, if you keep it positive, then people will like continue to foster that growth. But if you shut someone down, they'll stop creating. And that's the worst thing,
Yes.
It's a dull society.
Well, there's one that I didn't completely understand. So maybe you'll be able to help me on this one. Did you ever read, or did you ever see the play called Waiting for Godot?
No, I've actually never heard of that.
Well, that's a very famous play. It's by, I think it's Samuel Beckett, and it's a story about these two tramps, and they're kind of funny guys, and they're just talking, and they're waiting for Godot. We don't know exactly. It's actually spelled, sometimes they pronounce it Godot, Godot, God. So you don't know whether waiting to die or they're waiting to go to hell. You're not. It's not for sure. But anyway,
Right.
that's what that story is about. Well, again, Harry Chapin comes up with this. It's a great song. It's called Corey's Coming.
Okay.
Corey's Coming. And so they have this kid, and he goes down to the railroad tracks where this guy has spent most of his life. And he tells these stories to this kid all the time. And the kid is mesmerized by these stories. And but he always ends up, he said, one of these days, Corey is coming. Corey's coming, and Corey's coming one of these days. And so one day he goes down there, and the old man is dead. So he doesn't feel very good about this, and he talks to different townspeople and so on. And he said, well, he'd been to all these interesting places and so on. He says, no, he never left town. He's never been anywhere. And he one time he tried to confront him and say, you've never been anywhere. And the old guy says, well, reality isn't all that important anyway. But so that's the way but what happens at the end, that he's dead. The question is, you see, Corey's coming. Corey's always coming. And it's kind of uncertain who Corey is, you see. Some people take it as it's a lover that's never actually come, you see, but he's waiting for her, you see.
Right.
That's one of the ways. The other one is another interpretation is it's actually the angel of death.
Right.
But so it's uncertain.
That's kind of what I was taking from it when you were saying it.
Yeah.
I was assuming there was some sort of parallel there.
Yeah. So yeah, and so I'm not quite sure what the message is there, but yeah, but it's kind of the same message that and maybe, of course, Beckett was a famous Irish playwright, and of course Chapin, his family and so on, famous Irish storytellers. So maybe he probably had some kind of background as far as that goes, and might just unconsciously thinking about that, but he kind of left me with the same kind of idea.
Yeah, well, I feel like it might even be, it's like an allegory, I guess, for kind of just how everyone opts to spend their life anyways, right? Like, people do these things to talk about them and to share their experiences with other people, and, then they die, right? And it's like realistically, like how more or less real was what he was telling the kid than someone who has actually done it. Maybe that's kind of what he's saying. And he's kind of like, I guess it's more like about a perception over reality, take, I guess. I could see something like that.
Yeah. Well, moving along, here's one. It's another one. Are you aware of Tangled Up Puppet?
I do know that one.
You do?
Yes.
Okay. So give me your take on Tangled Up Puppet.
Well, I mean, honestly, this is terrible. You're gonna hate this as someone who's like so good with being in depth with music, but every time I listen to a song, unless I I have to really, really break it down. I have to like actually truly focus on it, give it all my attention.
Yeah.
I sometimes struggle to even understand what people are saying in songs,
yes.
and it's just like a pure, purely like just like an energy that it brings. I know that's kind of like hippie, but sometimes that's just like all it is. So like I like even like Grateful Dead, like I love the Grateful Dead, but like realistically I know what they're saying in like 6 of their songs because like my dad's explained it.
Yes. Well, this one actually, if you're in the first part of it, it kind of gives it away. He talks about this little girl being on his lap, you see, and that's his kid,
right?
And she's growing up, and as she's growing up, she's like a puppet, tangled up, and she's further and further away from like a tangled up puppet. The strings are all tangled up, and you can't really untangle them too well, and you can't do the things that you used to do with the puppet. You see that?
Yeah. Okay.
And that's what he's saying about his girl. She is now 15, 16, whatever, and so he's he's a little bit sad, and the reason is because, and it's normal, it's because she's moving on. She's becoming independent. She doesn't need him anymore. She doesn't rely on him anymore. She's doing her own thing. She's got her own life. It's sort of like when they talk about the children leaving the nest, the birds leaving the nest, you see. So and that's what he knows, that she's got to leave. He knows that she's becoming independent. He wants her to become independent, but yet there's this feeling that there's kind of a sadness that she's no longer the little girl that she used to be.
Right.
You see, so
similar again to Cats in the Cradle.
I'm hearing something. Well, I thought maybe that was the police that finally caught up with you, but that's a different story. Is that right? No.
Did I have something in the background?
It could be ice. Ice. I think. Yes, they are in Ohio, are they not?
They are. Yeah, they were in Dayton not so long ago.
Yes. Well, just keep a low profile, so you should be all right.
Well, I hate to say it, and I'm totally, I wish them the best, but they are someone roofing right next to my house, so I really hope that they don't.
Yes. Well, hopefully you let them finish the roof anyway.
Yeah, let them. I was just about to say, let them finish. It looks great.
Yes, that's right. So that's how about this one? A Better Place to Be. How about that one? A Better Place to Be. That's the name of the song, sir. Can you tell me anything about that one?
I can tell you that I do have no, I don't know that song.
This is a great song. Okay, this really says something.
He has just in general about his songs. He's like, I mean, the depth of his discography, that was the one thing that was so crazy. Like, so normally when you pick when you said Harry Chapin, what I did was like put, I pulled an Apple Music playlist basically, and just let it, shuffled it and listen to it. Yeah. So normally if you shuffle it, like say it's like ABBA or something, right? You'll get her hits, you'll get 1 or 2 deep cuts, and like that's it. This man had like 70 songs on his like
Oh yeah,
playlist.
yes.
That's like a trimmed playlist, you know, of his discography. He has a depth of work. Like, I mean, the guy, I mean, I don't, if he didn't have a home studio, he must have put a lot of miles on his car, you know, that
Oh yeah,
he was there.
yeah. I think he never hit 40. I think he was 38 when he passed away.
Yeah, yeah,
In
he
his
was, yep,
30s. Hmm?
38 years old.
Well,
So I wonder though, then what the insight, these like late age insights that he's having, where is that coming from? You think? Do you
yeah,
think he's
not no.
speaking to his elders, or
Yeah, he had a very empathetic heart, and he was very big on world hunger, and he did a lot of things that people are talking about today, but he actually did them, 60 years ago.
right?
But this one, this is a good one. This a better place to be. This guy, he's a little guy, not much to look at, not a great education or anything, and the guy is a watchman. And he's a watchman for this old factory. It's like I think they make a chain factory or something like that. It's not a. You get the idea. It's an old factory, and he's just in his guardhouse. And so it reminds me sort of like the Nighthawks. I don't know if you know the Nighthawks. Is that painting where it shows these people in the
Yep.
diner? Well,
I have Nighthawks at my house.
All right. So that now you kind of got the thing. Yeah, got the image.
Not the original. Not the original.
No. I wouldn't. That's Edward Hopper. But anyway, so he walks into this diner, and there is this beautiful woman. Beautiful, unbelievably beautiful. Somebody should be in the movies. And so he keeps on looking at it, keeps on looking at it. And so he finally sums up the courage, goes over to her, and tries to make a move on her. And of course, he's used to being told to hit the road, but she seems that's fine. If where you want to go, I'll go with you. That's fine. So he ends up taking her to his rooming house. And of course, they get in bed together, and they do the deed. And she won't let the lights. She won't let the lights on. She doesn't want the lights on. She wants everything done in the dark. So she falls asleep in his arms, and so in the morning he wakes up, and he wakes up before she wakes up. So he's so enthralled with this girl, he runs out and buys her donuts and coffee. So he comes back, and when he comes back, she's gone. And she says, so it's a better place to be. So she's going to move on. So
She pulled the old switcheroo on him.
yeah, she just left a little message. Said, it's just that she just. But you had the idea she was a very sad person, and she just moved from place to place. No matter, she just had no roots, and so she just so
she's a tumbleweed.
Yes, that's exactly who she was. So anyway, so you think that's the end of the story, but of course it isn't. See, so now a day or two later, he goes into this bar, and you get the idea. It's a bar. There's hardly anybody there, and there's this big, heavy set woman that's a bartender, and she says, "Oh, it's a long time since I've seen you, buddy. How you doing? Blah blah blah." And she's trying to. She likes the guy. She's trying to engage him in conversation. And so finally, he breaks down and tells her, he says, well, you wouldn't believe this. He said, but this is the kind of guy I am. And I end up with this beautiful woman, you see, and tells her the story. And so she starts crying. And she says that she wishes that she wasn't so fat and she was a better looking girl and she'd like to be with somebody like him, and she's all alone, blah blah blah. And so at the end, he leaves the bar at closing time with her. You get the story?
Right.
Yes, yes. So the little man goes out with this heavy set woman, and
So,
because Mhm.
so, the commentary kind of being that the, very beautiful woman is, sad and just kind of bouncing from place to place, has no real place to call home.
Yes, yes.
And the other woman is sad that she's not that, I guess it's a grass is always greener a little bit there, like a little bit of that type of compare, or not, I guess not the grass is always greener because it's not necessarily saying she's in a good position, but you know, there's drawbacks to the things that you like want to become and want to achieve, kind of similar to the other songs themes.
Well, I think though there's also the idea that basically there's more to her. There's more to her than there is to the good-looking woman, you see.
Right.
And so at the end, he kind of sees that, and she is a better person to be with. He sees the inequalities that she has, and that's why he ends up going with her, because they're both lonely people, don't you see? And
Right.
so they go off together, and hopefully they're not quite so lonely anymore.
Right. Right.
And the other one was kind of unattainable, and there's no future in that anyway. So that was that, and so that was our that was that one, I guess.
So one that I did, I am familiar with, and like I said, even like, so like with the names and stuff like that, like Mr. Tanner, for example, like I know that song very well.
Oh, yeah.
But when you say Mr. Tanner, I'm like, it doesn't do any, it doesn't bring anything. Even if you say Harry Chapin, it doesn't really bring anything to me. And I don't think that that's a knock on Harry Chapin. I think that's kind of an up to him. Like he made songs that the era like became kind of like emblematic of the style of music he made. So it was not, it's not that he had a sound that was like cheap. It was that his sound became very much like the sound for that style of music for like a very long time. You know what I mean? Like the way that he did it. He took the roughness off the edges of like a Bob Dylan, I feel like, and made it to an even more melodic and even more like beautiful version of like Dylan stuff's good, but it's like kind of harsh, especially earlier stuff,
Yes.
It's much more like spoken word. And Chapin just did a good job making it really like a sing song out of that level of content.
Yes.
But the song that I had heard and that I knew about is Taxi.
Oh yeah. Well, this just to start out, that is what the rabbi, he wrote about that, and that's what he said. He said that when Harry Chapin died and he was a kid, he was at this camp, and that was a song that was a song that he was familiar with. And he felt really bad that Harry Chapin died. Well, that 50 years later, he wrote this tribute to Harry Chapin 40 years later, because he'd gone through all of his old songs and everything, and over the years he'd become quite taken with all of his music. So and so he wrote this tribute to him, which was quite moving. But anyway, so that Taxi. So what was your take on Taxi?
So Taxi, to me, is pretty similar in like theming to kind of all of it. When you were saying, like, when you're explaining the past even two, right? It's like, oh, I didn't realize kind of how aligned a lot of the themes were across his songs. But so Taxi, it's about taxi driver picks up an old lover. She's extremely wealthy now. She's married and extremely wealthy, and they have a conversation, and basically he comes away with just, I wouldn't say inadequacy, but just realizing, oh wow, we've like completely diverged paths. Like it's it's just like our past is basically, it doesn't exist. It wasn't even real. And it's just it's again, it's like the same thing, like time, like, you know, how to, you know, almost like use your time wisely is a bit of a theme that he kind of like seems to be really worried about, or at least use it like poignantly, like think about what you're spending your time and energy on.
Yes.
But yeah,
Well,
I think sorry, go ahead.
No, well, really what it is the sellouts. That's what they are. They're sellouts, both of them. So it talks about when he's a kid, he wanted to be an airplane pilot. That was his big deal. And he was in the back seat of his car, I think 57 Chevy, whatever, with her back in the day. And so they both went on their separate ways eventually. He wanted to be a pilot. She wanted to be a movie star. Well, he never became a pilot. He never became a movie star.
Right.
And so she gave up what she could have had, or what she really wanted to do. Gave it up. Took the easy way out. And he, of course, he also is avoiding reality. He ends up by saying, instead of, he's not an airplane pilot, but he still goes flying so high. He goes flying so high because he's stoned all the time.
Right.
And yeah, and the other thing about him is it shows that he's a guy with absolutely no character, because she at first didn't want to pretend that she didn't know him, but then it comes to pass that she does know him. She says, "Hi, Harry," and blah blah blah. So at the end, I think it was she was out there in the rain. You get the idea. She's in a very fancy outfit and she's getting all wet, and so you don't know what she was up to, but it was something that she, you know, somebody that's that well off does not get caught in the rain, doesn't have a car or anything. You don't know what she's up to. But anyway, she's all wet and she gets into the car with him. And at the end, it's a $1.50 fare or whatever. And she has a $5 bill or a $10 bill, whatever it is. She takes that bill, which is, you know, 3-4 times the fare. She folds it up and tucks it in his pocket. And she says, and he says, a better man would have given it back to her. Yeah, would have given it back to her. I said, nah, yeah, because it's kind of like, you know, you poor doofus, you know, you got nothing going for you here. Here's an extra couple of bucks. It's
charity, yeah.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. And so he ends up says, a better man would have given it back, but he had no trouble keeping it. You see, that's who he was. And so you get the idea he's going to use that money. He's going to use that money to go get high.
Right.
That's what he does. And that's so his dreams. He didn't follow his dreams, and she didn't follow her dreams. And you know that it's very similar. There's an Eagles song that's very similar to. You ever hear that song?
What's it called?
Yeah. Your lying eyes. You can't hide your lying eyes. Did you ever hear that one?
I think so. Is that the chorus of it?
Yeah, it's a saint. Yeah. It's a saint thing. So it's a saint thing. This is a girl, and the chorus is, "You can't hide your lying eyes," and just right. So. And the idea is she lives in this big old house. She's a very good looking girl. She lives in this house with this old man, this very old man, but he has a lot of money, don't you see? So she's living in this house with this old man. Part of the themes is she says she has to go out of the house, and she has to go help an old friend who's not feeling well. Well, of course, it has nothing to do with helping an old friend. She meets this young guy, and they go at it, you see, and he's really in love with her. And she says, "Oh, we'll definitely get together sooner or later, but not right now." Well, of course, you know that they're never going to get together. She's just using this guy, but he makes her feel better. And the old guy is just an old guy, and that's who he is, you know. And he kind of, you get the idea, he kind of knows what she's up to as well, but that's okay. I mean, he's just an old guy. And so she goes home and she pours herself it says that it's going to be a long night, and she pours herself a stiff drink, and that she's very unhappy in this big old house, you see. But same type of idea. She's there in this big old house, very unhappy, but she's kind of sold herself to this old guy because he's got a lot of money. Right. But so that's but that's and so you can't hide your lying eyes. So the old man evidently knows what she's up to, but he's an old man. He feels he wants her around. He needs her, whatever, for whatever
reason.
He'd
rather have the companionship than be,
yes,
or whatever.
Yes, yeah. I'll tell you, a great song. Here's a great song. Story of a Life.
Okay.
Story of a Life, and this is him. This is him. He's talking about. He talks about his young guy, and he's running around. He's got his tousled hair and all this stuff, and he's going around, and just enjoying his life, you see. And eventually, he gets married, and he has a kid. He has a kid, 1 or 2 kids or something. But at the end of it, he did all these other things. He was looking forward to doing all these other things, but in the final analysis, it really didn't mean anything. He was more than content because he was with his wife. You see, he was with his wife and his children, and that was enough for him. So, and that's what the story of life goes about. But the way he sings it, he does a great job on it. Does a great job. So you kind of get the idea that in the beginning of the song, it's very, very exciting. He's doing all these exciting things, you see. And as time goes on, the song becomes slower and slower. And finally, you get the idea that he's content now, you see.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool to have the songs, theming, or the songs like tempo and stuff match the theming.
Yeah, yes. How about this one? I'll give you, I think, here is a good one. Dance Band on the Titanic.
I know that one.
Yes?
Yes.
What about that one?
Well, the reason that I know that one is because when I was like really little, I used to be a little bit obsessed with this, like not even necessarily the Titanic specifically, but this book of the Titanic that my school had.
A Night to Remember?
What's that?
A Night to Remember?
No, it was this it was like a book, like I think it was probably put together by some James Cameron adjacent like foundation, because it was like diving to the Titanic or whatever. But anyways, because of that, things that had Titanic in them, I really enjoyed. But I'm a guy who's in there jamming, not really. I haven't been analyzing. That's been the consistent my whole life, but it's melancholy. Like he always has that like light with the melancholy. That's like his whole brand, almost, it seems like, right? Which you said it's Irish, so that makes sense.
Yeah, well, it's funny because as far as the Titanic, there are stories that there were men who dressed up as women to get on lifeboats.
Right, to get out. Yeah.
And there were people, particularly like steerage people and so on, that the Irish basically, and a lot of them didn't get out. But and then there was another guy, I think it's Vanderbilt. It's very interesting. Vanderbilt, he stayed on. He didn't get on this is one of the wealthiest guys in the country, in the world.
Yeah.
Didn't get on the boat, and he's sitting there with this kid, and he's sitting with the kid. He doesn't want the kid to become too frightened, you see, because they're going to go down. They're going to drown. So he's sitting on there, and they've got these life jackets. They've got the life jackets, but of course the boats are gone. And he's sitting there, and he's cutting into the life jacket and explaining to the kid what the life jacket's made out of, how you use it, and that type of thing. But anyway, but that's kind of I'm digressing, as they say. But really, probably that from me. But what happens is it's similar that the people are the people that the important people, or the people that thought they were people, not the best people, but probably a lot of the worst people got on the boats. And so the band is still on the Titanic.
Yep.
Yeah.
They
And
played until it went down, right?
that's right. That's what they did. Yes. And that's what the story's about. They kept on playing when it was a good day. They kept on playing. I mean, what else are you going to do, right?
Well, and I think that's kind of literally, if I remember correctly, because I knew that there's obviously a scene in the movie about the Titanic, but I know the book I was talking about, they made mention of that, and I've watched a lot of little documentaries and stuff since, and I guess the leader of the band, or one of the conductor, what have you, was basically just like, this is the only thing we can do. He was like, we're not getting off. So, like we might as well like do this to restore some amount of order. And they were like, all right, you're right. And they just did it until it got at an angle they couldn't anymore, which is super cool. Like, it's a super, super cool the way that people stood up in the face of that stuff.
There was and when you talked about the sort of better place to be, where the guy ends up going back to the bar, and he ends up with the chubby lady, the bartender, and they go off together. There's another song that's kind of a little bit like that, and that song is let me see. Oh, Mail Order Annie.
Okay.
Yeah, Mail Order Annie. And this is kind of like these guys who get these women off the web, I guess,
Right.
I mean, that's what they call that. You meet these, for whatever reason, they can't meet anybody. So they say they do it on the web. Well, this guy, I guess he was, for whatever reason, he was lonely. And, and he was out there. I think it was South Dakota, one of those places. And the train comes by, and there's only one person on the train. And of course, that's Mail Order Annie. And that's just, and that just, I guess, two people that are lonely and getting together.
Right.
And not so much, didn't really matter. But didn't matter who they were or where they were going. He tells her it's not going to be an easy life, and she doesn't seem to have a problem with that, Well, yeah. I mean, the idea is, because she's going to be, because if you're lonely, and you get somebody to spend your life with, you're willing to undergo a lot of,
that's true.
And that, I think that's kind of the idea about that. And so, sir, have we come to kind of the end of our?
Well, I definitely would fail a Chapin quiz, but I genuinely, candidly, like I'm telling you, I'm not lying to anyone listening.
I don't want anybody lying. No,
I just hear music a lot of the times. There's I think honestly, it's why I like hip hop as much as I do, is because it's like more like spoken word. I don't have as hard of a time understanding it, but I'll be singing the wrong thing to a song for like a decade, and then finally it's like, oh no, it's from the window to the wall, not like what, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh right, oh got it, but I've always been that way. But Chapin is one of those guys that he does have those few songs that I actually did like Cat in the Cradle. I did think about that song before we were going to talk about anything like that, because it's like a really, really poignant song. I like Old Man by Neil Young. It's a really good song. It's good things to keep in mind as I get older and stuff like that. He actually had like a profound way to sneak like important life lessons into really good music, and that's a very good power to be able to control.
And so we started out, did we not, by All My Life is a Circle?
That's true.
Now you've heard the words of that song, have you not, sir?
Absolutely.
And so, do you want to give us what you think about that song? What do you think about it?
Well, I now tell me if I'm right or wrong on this, but All My Life's a Circle. It's a um what's it called? Oh, I can't even think of what they're called. Not UNICEF, but didn't it do? There's some sort of like there was a fundraiser associated with that. Is there not? Like there was some sort of like campaign.
Oh, there could
I
have been. I don't know.
maybe it was a campaign that used that song, but I feel like I remember something with people, everyone like linking arms and doing some sort of thing. I feel like I remember that maybe music video. I don't know, but anyways, it's a really cool song. I mean, and it's also really true. Like even, you don't even have to dive too much more deep than the title line
Yes.
to find a pretty profound statement, and it's true. It is like time is a flat circle, man. Like we're it's even like we've talked about it many times before on the podcast, but like that's why you kind of have to know the history. You have to understand things about history because we learn from our mistakes, and that's kind of the theme of everything that Chapin talks about. Is it really is about learning from mistakes. I mean, it's a lot of it is retroactive, people thinking about how could they have done better or what should they have done differently, and rather than being that person, just have a little bit of thought ahead of time, and so you don't make the same mistakes over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, your life's a circle. It says, the sunrise and sundown, the years just keep on rolling by, and so the time is passing as it does for everybody, and I guess it's very similar to the idea of a story of a life. You say, it's just a story. It's just your life. Your life. You start out, and you kind of end up where you started out. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, as simple as it is, you come in alone, you go out alone. That is the truth of it. You know what I mean? And like you can extrapolate past that point, but like that is what it is. Like that's the truth of it. You start at the same place that you end, or rather you end at the same place that you start, and it's that's there's power in that too though, like again, you have the ability to be the best version of the person living that life that you can be, or you can at least like use the time that you have in a way that actually is meaningful to the people around you and meaningful to yourself in like a more cosmic sense, like that. I feel like that's kind of what he was getting at, and it's crazy. I mean, I can't believe the guy was only 38 years old. I mean, that's a very little amount of time
Yes.
for a guy who had a lot to say.
Oh yeah. Well, the other thing about you can see this on YouTube, but he was in some respects he's kind of like the Grateful Dead. He did a lot of he did a lot of these things, in person concerts, and he had this little band behind him, and he had one of his I think it's at least one of his brothers was with him, and but he had guys that were lighting guys and guys that were people that took care of the equipment. And when he sang "All My Life Is a Circle," he would say, "Oh, this is a very easy song to sing," you see, and he'd call these different guys that did nothing as far as singing. They didn't know nothing about singing, and they would end up they'd all sing the song together, you see. And I guess the idea was anybody could sing the song. It's a very easy song to sing, but also they're singing a song together, you see.
Right.
Yeah, so it's not all my life. It's not just all my life. It's everybody's life. It's kind of a circle.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Right.
So,
Which is true. It's true.
yeah.
That is important to think of, especially in today's times where people are dividing over all these issues. Like at the end of the day, we all are here for the time that we have, and we have to make the best that we can of it, and it makes it a hell of a lot easier for us and other people if you do it kindly, and
Yeah.
you just take that to other people. That's really all there is to it.
And so, so that's pretty much, I guess I think we've come full circle, sir.
Oh,
And
all the podcast is a circle?
it is a circle. We're ending up where we started out, and all the time, Mr. Pierogi is listening to us.
I learned a lot.
He says he's
Me too.
Yeah, he's learned a lot. He's going to run home. He's going to get on the internet and start listening to Harry Chapin.
Yeah.
Harry Chapin, his brother, I think, still performs. I forgot
Tom?
his brother. Tom Chapin, yes, he still performs.
Yeah.
I think he's in the 70s now. Of course, yeah. And they all liked him, and Harry Chapin was very big on world hunger. Very big on world hunger. So a lot of the money that he raised, he contributed towards world hunger. So a lot of the money he didn't have a lot of money, I don't think. I think a lot of, even when he died, he was in a little Volkswagen. Wasn't like he was, being
he wasn't James Dean.
No, he was not chauffeured around or anything like that. He came to a very untimely end. So anyway, all right. Well, so we've got all through Harry Chapin, I suppose, which is probably better than going through Bob Dylan, particularly his last song. I don't know if you heard his last song. His last song where they talked about I think it goes about 15 minutes. Did you ever hear that song?
Bob Dylan's last song?
Yes.
No.
Yeah, I can't. It's probably a year or two old, but it's about 15 minutes long, and and it's kind of like he talks about it. He talks about Kennedy assassination, and he talks about the different things. He talks about Martin Luther King. He talks about all those things that have happened, during the 60s and 70s. And it's a very interesting song, but it really has to do with Kennedy's assassination. That's really what it's all about.
That's interesting. He did. I mean, Bob Dylan doing a 15-minute song does sound pretty par for the course on him.
Yeah, well, yes. Yes. Well, some of the stuff, when he first started out, he had Peter, Paul, and Mary do all his songs because he didn't have a very good voice. But actually, after a while, people kind of took to the voice.
Yeah, people like the gravel to it. Yeah,
yes.
I didn't realize that. That's an interesting tidbit. I didn't realize that Peter, Paul, and Mary were.
The Answer's Blowing in the Wind. That's yeah. That was their big song. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. Because that's what I was saying. All these guys played similar songs. The Grateful Dead have like songs that they share with a bunch of other bands too. And
yes,
like Fire on the Mountain is played by like multiple different bands. What's it? Uncle John's Band is played by multiple different bands. Knocking on Heaven's Door, Friend is the Devil.
Yes. Of course, my favorite is Ripple.
Ripple's the best one. Yeah. Broke Down Palace is good. Ripple's good.
Yes. Well, they were both done over a weekend.
Really?
They're companion songs, actually. Broke Down
Ripple
Palace.
And Broke Down Palace?
Yeah, they both went together, kind of, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, they kind of couplet. That's what I heard anyway.
No, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense because Ripple's really that whole there's an album. It's called American Beauty by Grateful Dead. Mm-hmm. I believe it's the wood panel one with the rose in the center. Yep. And that one it has Touch of Grey, which is awesome. Touch of Grey is really good. And then my personal favorite, Ripple, is amazing. But Box of Rain.
Yes. Well,
I love Box of Rain.
The one I didn't like was probably the most famous song he had. The one I think the only one probably ever got in the top 20 or top 40, whatever. Riding along, high on cocaine.
Oh, Casey Jones.
Yeah. It's all right. It just doesn't do anything for me,
Yeah, and that's another one, by the way. Casey Jones is another one that
Yeah,
multiple artists played that song.
Yeah,
Multiple artists. Oh, another great artist from that era, Joan Baez. Joan Baez is a wonderful one. She had Prison Trilogy. That's a great song.
Oh yeah, yes. Well, my favorite was what was Judy Blue Eyes. You know who that was, do you?
No.
That's Judy Collins.
Oh, Judy Collins. Okay, I know who Judy Collins is.
Yeah. Bringing the Clown. She did that one. Yeah, Suzanne and Leonard Cohen.
Leonard Cohen. I had a math teacher who was Bob Dylan obsessed, but he said the one guy who he loved over Bob Dylan was Leonard Cohen.
Yes. Well, maybe we'll leave that at that. And what's the song we should sing on for Leonard Cohen?
Oh, Leonard Cohen. I don't know. What would be your favorite?
Well, the one that sticks in my head is Hallelujah.
Oh my God! I totally forgot that he was. Yeah, he played that song, and then there's another guy who played the more famous version of that song is by a different guy, the one that you hear on the radio.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them, but he went to London. He sang that song. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot that Leonard Cohen did a Hallelujah. Yeah. Well, that's a fantastic song.
Well, Leonard Cohen was Jewish. Well, of course, his name was Jewish. Cohen. Right. You would think that he might be Jewish. But he knew his Bible very well. And so, of course, the Hallelujah is all about the Bible. It's about Samson and Delilah, and, they cut off his hair. And, So anyway, but we're supposed to be talking about Chapin, and here we are talking about Leonard Cohen. And,
The best conversations are always in the margins. The topic is great, but it's in the weeds where the fun is had,
Yes. And that's another song, I think, in the margins. There's a song about in the margins, but I can't remember who that is. Probably somebody like Billy Joel or
Derek and the Dominoes.
Oh yes, we could go on and on and on, sir. Yeah, don't get me started because I'll start singing a song. It won't take long. Yeah. So all right, I think that's it. I think.
Go ahead.
How long have we been? How long have we been going on this thing?
Hour and 12 minutes.
An hour and 12. Oh man, this. Yeah. I was hoping to go past noon, but
that's a good one right here. This is a good one.
Yeah.
Well, follow the TikTok.
Yeah. So there we go. There we go, sir. And so
like, subscribe, share to a friend. Follow
podcasts on TikTok.
Yes.
Yep.
And look at TikTok, look at YouTube, look at Google. We're all over the place. We're like as my Uncle Tim used to say, we're like dog doo-doo. Constantly underfoot. Constantly underfoot.
At this point, it's on you if you don't find us. You're just not looking, and that's a problem.
Yes, all the wrong. You'll find us in all the wrong places. All right, so now on that thing we've come full circle. I think we came full circle. We're starting another circle, but before we go too far on that circle, I'm going to end it. So I'll say adios to you, sir. Adieu, and peace be with you.
And also with you. Auf Wiedersehen, goodbye would be the
appropriate. Oh yes, okay. Yeah.